Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Seller Ladies for another week. Joined this week by Heather, Treasure Pirate, and Karin, the Sewing Thrifter.
Hello.
And Flipping Fantastic Kelly.
Hiya.
Who is, of course, Flipping Fantastic Finds on YouTube. Hello. How is everybody today?
I'm really good.
Good. Yeah, you were saying it's really sunny there.
I've been out in the sun this morning and I feel rejuvenated. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I haven't been out much, but the sun's it's like a greenhouse in my office, so absolutely boiling, but lovely. So I'm just going to say hello to a few people in the chat. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We've got Cos, Miss Mizzy, Welsh Wonder Nia, Chris Tyler, Karen. Hello, Karen. I thought you weren't going to be around. Gary, Marsha, Lex. Hi, Lex. Joan. Hello, Joan. Claire. Mr. Jump. So I've got Gimbal, Antoinette Daly, Diane, and I think that's everybody. So thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about whether reselling is sustainable. There's a lot of words bandied about all the time about sustainability, fast fashion, sustainable fashion, talking about keeping things out of landfill. And I really feel, and I think that you guys do as well, that what we do is key to helping to ease that problem. So do you think that reselling is good for the environment? And how do you think reselling can help the environment? I'll leave that one open for anyone to answer.
Oh, go on then. Go on then. I think it underpins so much of everything about just not chucking things away, about things having a decent life. Whether or not it's a man-made fabric or a natural fabric or whatever is obviously someone's preference for what they want to wear. But it's just such a heart-sink thing to think someone wears something for a few months and then just bins it and it ends up not rotting in landfill somewhere. So I do think it's a sound thing to do and a sustainable way to try and reuse things. Especially you can either upcycle them, wear them as they are, style them up differently. But rather than being dictated to with fashion as to what you're supposed to be wearing this season, which gets right on my bits, I have to say, my television. But I don't like being told what to do, and I think there's a lot of people out there who feel the same. So wear what you want, not what you're told to wear, and we can be a part of giving people what they want, I think, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, quite often you're looking for that specific thing that you want really to add to your wardrobe, or for any other reason, and you look around the shops, you can spend hours just searching for something and not find it because it's not the thing that's on trend at the moment. One particular example is like you can never find any swimwear in winter. It's gone. It is ridiculous. People still swim in winter.
They do.
Yeah. So Karen or Kelly, what do you think about this?
I forgot what the question was, sorry.
How do you think the reselling can help the environment?
Well, obviously people are better off buying secondhand, but I don't know if that's such a new thing because people have always brought secondhand, clothing included. I think the problem lies with lots of cheap clothing that's produced. That's the main problem where the environment is concerned. But reselling has always sold everything secondhand, clothing, household goods, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new, the reselling game, is it?
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a house where pretty much everything we bought was secondhand. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so my dad used to go to auctions and car boots. My mum used to like going jumble sales.
So I grew up with pretty much pre-loved stuff, and it didn't do me any harm. So yeah, I think it's much better for the environment. I hate seeing things that have, there's nothing wrong with them. I hate seeing things getting chucked away when there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, completely. And I think that in the way in which reselling is good for the environment is just keeping it in circulation. It's stopping, if somebody buys something that's secondhand, then they're not going to buy something brand new. So it's just, it's keeping things going and, kind of taking a stand against new manufactured items, if you know what I mean, that less demand for new manufactured items.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's becoming trendier is no bad thing, and there is a definite movement that way for younger people. I know certain generations literally wouldn't have anything unless it was brand new. I know that seemed to be a thing, but thankfully that seems to have moved on again, and we've kind of come full circle back to the idea that something pre-loved isn't necessarily a bad thing, that it can be a very, very good thing. And now, of course, it's not just a good thing, it's really cool. So you get the fashion houses, which, of course, as those of us who are clothing resellers have to at least look at and bear in mind, they're copying the vintage granny designs that we've been picking up and flogging them for very large sums of money, it has to be said.
I know. That really makes me laugh. I went into H&M because Ellen had a voucher for Christmas and she really struggled to spend it. She still got most of it. But just looking around, it was like, well, hang on, that's inspired by vintage and that looks like something from the 80s. And that's, it's crazy because they're trying to make their money and they're thinking, well, people like vintage, so we'll just make things look vintage.
Yes. In fact, when I've been going around some of the charity shops and I thought, oh, that looks like, and I've gone, it's new look. What the heck? Nothing wrong with it. It's just not usually as well made as the original article would have been. The quality tends not to be there because they're trying to keep their price point very low. But they are definitely jumping on that bandwagon. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking when you were saying, Kelly, that reselling is not a new thing. It's not. Definitely wearing secondhand is not a new thing, but there's a difference in that suddenly because of our awareness about how the environmental impacts and the fact that sort of Ellen's age and 20-year-olds and whatever are really into their vintage and
people are buying secondhand for a different reason. It used to be out of necessity, where now it's more out of choice. So that's a big difference, and I really like how people are repurposing things to make clothing, which I think is fab. Especially on Instagram, I follow a couple of people that repurpose curtains and all sorts into clothing. It's amazing. Just wish we was more taught to do those sort of things at school, because all that stopped when I was at school, all the home economics and sewing and that sort of thing. Mind you, I haven't got an excuse because my mum was a machinist. So
maybe you never needed to because she could do it for you.
Yeah, but she tried to force me to learn, and that, like, you just go the other way, don't you, when you try to someone forces you to do something. So
absolutely. I mean, I was literally, when I was at school, and we're talking several years ago, in the 70s, this was when it was all coming to an end, and it was all starting to drop off with home economics and sewing and stuff. And I always treated it with the contempt I thought it deserved at the time, because it was so old fashioned. But then they completely stopped teaching it. So anyone sort of 45 and under is probably less likely to have been taught anything like that unless they're fortunate enough to have had a family member who showed them. So there are people out there who genuinely don't know how to sew a button on or repair a seam. Yeah, I know. And I still find that quite strange, but it's good for me because I can do it. So I'm quite handy about that sort of thing. But I'm going to show my son how to do it because he'll need to know how to repair his own clothes.
Yeah. And with social media as well, because like you say, you watch different YouTube videos of people thrift flipping, as they put it. Ellen watches that kind of thing as well. And it inspires, doesn't it? It inspires the young generation to then go out and do that. And, Ellen has got ideas she's been learning embroidery and you know, wanting to upcycle things in that way. And, you know, it's quite cool to watch her sort of get fired up about things.
Yeah. It is. In things like YouTube and Instagram and all that have really helped, because it's out there, it's instant. And if you need to know how to sew a rolled hem on a silk scarf, which I had to look up how to do, I found out how to do it on YouTube. I'm not going to sit and sew a whole scarf. I haven't got a week, you know, I'm not that. But certainly for repairing things and just making things good again. There are some repairs you just can't do because they're too difficult. But some things are surprisingly easy, really easy.
Yeah. I was going to say, Karen, that my family were the absolute opposite to yours. Like, I grew up where it was kind of frowned upon to have anything secondhand. You know, it was like, you know, they thought I was odd when I started buying secondhand clothes. And then when Ellen came along and pretty much everything we had for her was secondhand, they just really couldn't understand it.
Gosh. I did rebel a bit, I have to say, when I was a teenager. When I got my first job, I just wanted to buy loads of things because I'd never had anything new. So I did rebel a little bit, and probably into my 20s, I still did. I mean, me and my husband were terrible. When we first moved back here to Newcastle, we used to go shopping every weekend, go to town and buy stuff every weekend for our new place. And if I think about it now, I think, God, the money I could have saved buying secondhand things, I really wish I had, because I spent a lot of money in my 20s that I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I've always loved secondhand stuff, because the things I love just aren't in the shops. They just weren't available. So, I mean, my latest purchase, and you know, it was from eBay. I will buy from eBay as well as sell on it. And it's like a Persian rug. It's about 3.5 meters by 2.5. It's huge, and it rocked up in a surprisingly small package, I thought, the other day. But when I got it all out, I'm like, this is brilliant. I've got a wool quality vintage nice rug that's not so expensive that I'm going to get upset if it gets mud on it, because that's life. I'm not precious about it, but it's beautiful. And and it cost me far less than buying something much inferior would have done brand new. So, you know, it makes me happy to be able to buy what I want and not want the market seems to be telling me what I ought to have.
Definitely. Yeah. I was thinking of you a bit this morning, Karen, actually, when I was watching Lorraine, and they were talking about trends for like spring and summer, and it struck me that it barely never changes. Like, it's always the same thing every year: prairie shirts, polka dots, statement sleeves, statement collars. It's like, I'm sure they said all of this last year. I don't know if it ever changes.
I'll have to find my notepad, because I have a notepad where I write down trends in. I'll have to see if I've still got it written down somewhere, because since I've started doing this, I have been writing down trends, and polka dots, I think, has been on that notepad every time I write a list. So
they literally do that, don't they? The trends. I mean, you get something that we kind of catch on to it early, because we're, I think, at the front end of when people start picking up on trends. And then what happens is it kind of comes up and peaks. It gets publicised and it sort of reaches peak cold shoulder, which is now kind of out. But if people want to wear them, they'll still wear them. But certain things you won't find anymore. But once they're gone, they're really gone for a couple of years, until someone goes, you know what, you can wear it again. It's like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. I'm quite happy that flared jeans are sort of come back. So I was like, they're quite flattering.
I've always worn bootcut jeans, whether they were in fashion or not, because they suit my little dumpy legs. So
yeah, I just like the shape of them. They just balance you out nicely, don't they?
But everyone has a shape that suits them. It's like I never suited low-waisted jeans that kind of hung on your hip bone, because basically where my waist is, there's kind of, you know, it didn't work. No one needs to see that rear view with me smiling when I'm actually not smiling here. So you know, higher waisted jeans, fabulous, great for me, probably hated by the next person along. But I love the fact that flares are coming in, because I either wear my jeans very tight or very flared. There's nothing in between for me.
And I think it's good for us to actually sort of keep an eye on the current trends, because, you know, people are looking for that second hand as well. So we do notice certainly that you know, if a prairie shirt is in fashion and we've got something vintage or something, you know, in stock that suits that, then it does sell quicker than most things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but things are usually in for sort of 3 to 4 years. I think the cycle is usually about that, and then they seem to sort of shift and move. But some things are always going to be around. You know, people are always going to want. I speak from personal experience of the black goth clothes. You know, I'm sorry, steampunk is not going to go away anytime soon. So there are some markets that are always going to be there, but that's become a lot more mainstream than it used to. Trying to find what I call witchy outfits, for want of a better term, was actually quite tricky, and you could pay a lot of money because it was a specialised market. Whereas now, you know, it's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Shirley says most of my clothes are secondhand. Mine are now. I barely own anything that I've bought new these days, unless it's something that I've loved and just carried on. You know, I've got a jumper in the cupboard that I've had since the 90s, and I bought that at a boot sale.
So. Wow. I think that's quite something, isn't it? I mean, here am I rocking Bet Lynch today, and it's only because I bought this today and I thought I'll try it on and see if I just look appalling or if I like it, and I'm still not sure, really, to be perfectly honest. But it's a good way of trying a trend out, because you're not spending a whole heap of money on something that's badly made and might not be your thing. You get a chance to test it out, and then you can go and spend. If you really love a style, go and splurge. And I have been known to do that with certain things. I will spend the money on a decent item because I know it's me then. You know, I'm wearing the clothes, they're not wearing me.
Yeah. I have a feeling we've lost Kelly.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
She's been quite ill for a while.
You could do all sorts of things now. Oh, Kelly. Well, you know, she's looking thoughtful.
Yeah.
She'll be back with us in a minute.
Sell It Bang says, hello guys, question, do you think that charity shops are pricing themselves out of the second-hand market?
Oh.
Hello.
Let's all move around. It's like,
here we go again.
Oh.
Hang on. Something's happened here. I'll go away and come back in.
Heather.
Oh.
We've lost Heather. I think she just wanted to be the other way around. She just wanted to be at the bottom.
Yeah, so I think charity shops are starting to get pricier, definitely. I'm finding it harder and harder to buy stuff. I just have to look out for sales and pound rails and things like that. So
you just fancied a change, didn't you, Heather?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Karen.
It's all right. I kind of finished what I was saying. So I look for sales and pound rails. Oh no, Heather.
Oh.
I'll go and come back. It's my camera. Something's very amiss.
Oh dear.
See, it's not just you, Karen. Yeah. I think I was watching Kate on her Insta stories, and she found something that was like, was it Kate or was it Sarah? No, it might have even been Sarah actually. Found something that was, it was Sarah. I found something that was £28, and it was like just a general label.
Oh, was it something like Peruna or something like you're on about resells? Yeah, I saw that. Something really basic.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, who comes up with that?
Who's going to pay that though?
I know.
I wish people wouldn't. People should complain more about the prices, and then maybe they'll realise. But then saying that doesn't work for the British Heart Foundation, does it? Their rails are always so jam-packed because nobody hardly buys anything, and you'd think they'd realise.
Heather's back. Sorry, Heather. Hello.
If I keep going, I'll duck out because I don't want to mess up your thing.
No, it's fine. Carry on.
British Heart Foundation.
Yeah.
You'd think they would have learnt by now, but they still haven't, have they?
No. Well, I mean, I did a blog post about it, and then I did an Instagram post about the blog post, and you know, you get the usual thing where people start like saying, oh, well, they need to make money for their charity, etc., etc. It's not for us to say how much they should price. And no, it isn't. But that wasn't the point I was making. And I certainly wasn't looking at it from a reseller's point of view. I was looking at it more as a shopper, somebody that would go in and buy something for myself. So I think that they're getting very close sometimes, if not over what the retail price is.
Yeah.
It's
Well, the manager of the charity shop that I volunteer in, she gets stressed a lot because she has targets that she has to meet, and she's always under them. And I keep saying to her, if your prices were cheaper, your target would be smashed. I'm sure it would, because people would see something and they'd probably think, oh, it's only a couple of quid, I'll take a chance. Because a lot of people don't even want to try stuff on, do they? They just buy stuff. They don't want to try it on. So, I think they'd do a lot better if the prices were better. And as I say, the charity shop next door, I spend twice as much in because they're cheaper than the one I actually volunteer in, which I would like to help more, but I can't because I can't justify the prices they charge for things.
Yeah, having a pound rail would do it. I mean, that gets people in. Have a pound rail, have sensible prices when you're in there. People will come in, graze the pound rail, which is the way of getting rid of your old stock, and then if they've got any sense, they'll go through everything else because they'll know it's good, and that makes a big difference. But yeah, I have pretty much almost said to people in charity shops, I really want to spend a lot more money, but I can't.
No. Yeah. And I think just, not from a reseller's point of view, but just a general customer would look at a dress and think, oh, well, I don't want to spend 12 or 15 pounds on that when I can go to another shop and buy that for probably something similar for like £5 extra, get it brand new. So it kind of puts people off buying secondhand when you want them to buy secondhand. You want them to, keep reusing the stuff and not have that items then sent to the rag man or discarded into waste.
I've been in there when there is bag upon bag upon bag being carted out of there to go God knows where, and it's tragic. It's probably half decent stock. If only they would not get so attached to it, thinking it's valuable, and think about the bigger picture and think they can earn more money. They're reliant on footfall, and if someone's not, I have many charity shops here. I am very blessed. However, I go in about 2 of them regularly because the rest there's just no point for my time. And all right, it's as a reseller, but even if I was looking for something to wear, I don't want to go trawling around dozens of shops to find the one thing I want. I'd rather go somewhere where I know they're going to be good and then buy what I need.
I think that's the difference between the prices on eBay and the prices you can expect in a charity shop. Is you can sit at home and quickly find what you're looking for in your size on eBay, rather than going around 20 shops trying to find one item that's going to cost you the same sort of price where you could get it on eBay.
Yeah.
So for them to hope to achieve the eBay prices isn't really realistic.
No,
not at all.
I've got that convenience.
So that brings me on to another question I've got here, which is that, Heather, you described yourself as being a finder rather than a reseller. You're a finder, which I really like. But I think there's still quite a stigma that's attached to reselling. Can a trend towards sustainable living change attitudes on what we do? And is it time to rename our occupation and market ourselves differently?
I suppose if we're finders, then we have a finder's fee, and that's what we get when we're putting something on eBay. I mean, I always think of myself as a treasure hunter. That is, I've always been the same. But whether we can truly market ourselves as anything, I don't know. If somebody would actually buy my product, I'd be very happy. That's all it takes. Just make me happy. Buy something off eBay.
But with this trend for vintage and secondhand and all of that, we still find that when people talk about resellers, there's something sort of quite negative about that. So I wonder if kind of calling ourselves something different could fit into that trend, because
I only ever heard the term reseller from YouTube. That's the first time I heard it. Never heard of it before. I was always a dealer.
Well, that's what we are.
Dealing in second-hand items, not a reseller. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I hadn't heard it very much before. But I also think now, with people making money out of hand sanitizers and what have you, resellers ends up being the dirty word because it's associated with someone who's just cashing in on a crisis and that. And I mean, yeah, it'd be good to distance ourselves from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the resell, that word, you're reselling something on, is quite a negative image, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know about you
I
guys.
don't really know where that came from.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't know about you guys, but if somebody asks me what I do for a job, I say I've got an online business. That's what I say, because I'm not lying. So that's what I say, and then they just go, okay.
Let's get some ideas off the chat what we could rename the reselling community. Give us some ideas what we could rename ourselves. We're relaunching our brand.
Also, if anyone knows where reseller came from,
yeah,
I don't know where that came from. Shelley's in the chat. Hi, Shelley. She says, I think the little shops are part of chains will disappear to be replaced. Can't read by bins, like the bin star mega stores, which are cheaper and shift more stock. Maybe. Yeah.
I agree with Ben Tranmer there, who's saying he considers himself to be a treasure hunter. That's how I've always seen it. I'm a magpie.
Yeah.
And it is the finder's fee, really. The fact that we're the ones that are schlepping around the shops finding it, and all they've got to do is press a button. Press a button and buy it.
And then we're putting that item in front of a much wider audience, which is what Kelly was saying, that then, that person that's looking for that particular thing that might live 100 miles away from that particular charity shop is going to find that. So,
and Lex is an item liberator. Free the item.
I'm just scrolling back through the chat to see if there was anything else that people were saying. So I haven't seen that yet.
I suppose technically we are personal shoppers as well, because especially if you're looking for things that are on trend, you're finding them and you're putting them on eBay so other people can find them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the fashion industry generally call it re-commerce, but that sounds a bit weird. What re-commerce is. Yeah. Again, Nigel says online retailer.
Yeah, it depends who's asking.
If in a charity shop someone said, "Are you a reseller?" No, no, I'm an item finder.
I'm a treasure hunter
for people. Yeah. Gimbal says, I don't class myself as a reseller. I'm a dealer. Been buying and selling since before eBay, and my job hasn't changed just because I use eBay or another outlet. Yeah. I mean, there was never a stigma with antiques dealers, was there? It was always accepted that, that's what they did, and it was kind of cool.
I don't know why there's this stigma. If it's clothes, why it should be different than if it's secondhand items. I don't get that.
I think it's a bit newer, I suppose. Maybe people just aren't used to that idea. The idea of sort of selling furniture has kind of been around forever. But when e-commerce merchandiser, the titles are getting longer.
Object rehomer was one that came up recently for me. I thought that was kind of cool. I'd like that on a t-shirt. Object rehomer. Right, so just looking through my questions and seeing if we've kind of covered things or not. Oh, I know. Since becoming a reseller, have you changed the way that you buy and wear clothes and accessories? Kelly?
No, because I've pretty much always bought secondhand since I left home. So once I left home, I was buying secondhand clothes, furniture, household stuff. So secondhand's quite not the norm to me. It's quite unusual for me to buy something brand new from a shop. And a bit like Kevin says, I don't like my hair, although I've got a Calax unit and I know I'm wearing a mustard t-shirt. I don't really like following trends.
I was going to say you look really trendy today because
It's really
your hair
contradictory.
colour and your top.
Yeah. I realised that while I was thinking about it, but my house and things, I don't follow the trends and all that sort of thing, fashion trends. I just wear what I like and buy what I like, whether it's on trend or not.
Yeah.
And just so happens that mustard goes so well with my hair.
It does. It looks lovely. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not on trend. I'm wearing my granny cardigan and an all top, which are both secondhand. So
You like Walla Keeley?
yeah, I do. Very not on trend. So has it changed anything for you, Heather?
I find it easier to find stuff now because I'm out there looking. So, you know, sourcing the perfect pair of jeans, always a lifetime's quest. A skirt that's actually long enough, and you know, things like that. Yeah, but I've much like Kelly, I've always bought secondhand stuff. I've always bought what I liked, and liked the vintage stuff, even when it really was quite hard to find and not very fashionable. I just know what I like. The idea of actually selling it to anybody came a hell of a lot later. But I don't like, I'm one of these people that otherwise kind of shop for a living, because that's more or less what we do. To go into somewhere where they actually have those kinds of shops and spend any amount of time is I'd rather poke my eyes out with a fork than spend a lot of time in those shops, because the prices are horrifying, even for the nasty cheap tat. And they never have my size or the right length. And I just think, why would people do this to themselves? So, yeah, it's confirmed what I've already done and made it more so. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, hang on a minute. There we are. Thank you, Double Karma, for that super chat. Yes, at 3:30, Nick and Edward are going to be talking about testing silver, and Edward's going to show you how to test silver. Oh, and Nick's just turned up.
You just sold a vintage handmade sleeveless dress for 33.
Oh, that's the one I sold earlier, but they paid for it.
Whoa, do you know where it is?
There should be a number on the listing.
Oh, you still live?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, sorry.
Yeah,
You
you
didn't
get up
know.
on this live stream and find this item.
Come
you
and
sold.
find this dress. Come on, we've got to sell some stuff.
Nobody blog bombs like Nick.
Honestly.
It's a good job he was only asking you about a dress, isn't it, Andrea? Not something a
Yeah.
bit more private.
We've had a super chat from Double Karma. Basically doing your work for you.
Hello.
I was just laughing to myself at Joan, who says, I'm wearing my PJs. And then Kirsten, who says, I'm wearing all my clothes trying to stay warm.
Oh.
Oh, look, I'm a cellar lady for a moment. Check me out. Right, okay. So,
yeah, it should be on this SKU number.
oh,
And then, yeah, just put it in one of the white bags.
Every week. You just can't resist it, can it?
No,
Every week.
You can't resist. They're saying. He says he hasn't been in one for weeks. Okay, I'm thrown now. I don't know what we're talking about. Karen, did you answer that? Have you?
No, I didn't. No. Well, I happen to be wearing something new for the first time in ages, which is, I just love the colour of it, because obviously a lot of you said that red suits me. So, and I saw this and I really liked it, and I like the fact that it's got weekend across it. So it's a little bit big for me, but the next size down was too small. It's one of those weird when it's two sizes at the same time. So
Yeah.
I just got the big size. But yeah,
it's nice to be oversized and snuggly though,
Yeah.
isn't it? With that.
yeah,
colour.
it's lovely and soft actually. It's really nice. But normally I'm wearing something that I bought from a charity shop. So I would say over 50% of what I buy now is secondhand. And I often, when I'm looking to buy stuff to resell, I'm also looking for myself as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to just buy lots of things I like, and then when I get home, I'm like, I wonder if that would fit me. Oh, I might try that on.
I'm terrible for that.
Yeah,
So I
me too.
suppose in that way, it's changed the way I shop, because I don't necessarily shop thinking I need a so-and-so or I'm looking for something. I just, I think, I wonder if that would look nice. I might try that. So I end up trying things that perhaps wouldn't normally have tried.
But does that make you more adventurous in your clothes because you're trying things that might be a bit outside your comfort? No, adventurous, was that the wrong word?
Not actually, no. I just still end up with tops and t-shirts and jeans.
Yeah, I find I'm wearing different things, and what happens is when I went through my wardrobe the other night, because we've reorganized around here, and I took stuff out, and there was stuff that I bought secondhand for me, and yet I'd never gotten around to wearing it. It's not that it didn't look all right, it's just never worn. So that slot's gone into my listing pile, so I can bring some more stuff in to wear.
Yeah.
I brought yet another coat jacket from a charity shop last week, and I persuaded Barry that I'll get rid of 2 of my ones I've already got if I can take this new one back. This new one back. And I still haven't gave up one of them that I said I was going to get rid of, because it's great for just chucking on in the morning and taking Winnie for a walk.
Yeah.
I've got dog walking coats, car boot coats, going to the shop coats, going out coats.
You sound like me with my mugs.
Yeah.
I like that with jackets. Biker jackets. Yeah. Silver one, black one, brown one. Yeah. Lots of them.
Yeah. Kirsten says, I don't buy secondhand clothes only because I don't have the patience. Clothes shopping has to be fairly quick for me. I'm not against secondhand. I just need a personal shopper.
Oh, I thought I'd love to do that as a job once. I'd love to take people out and clothe them, because it's so much easier on somebody else than it is on yourself, because you're too close to the subject. And I was quite like, I used to take people out and at friends and that, and get them to try all sorts of different things and get them shopping, and that was quite fun. That made it worth doing.
Yeah.
Well, you've all convinced me to buy a dress, haven't you? Whether I wear it this summer is another matter, but I have bought a dress.
We'll all nag you until you do.
Where's that dress?
Yeah, I love going charity shopping with Ellen, and she tries on stuff and I can tell her whether it suits her or not, and she's really into buying her secondhand stuff, which is good. Yeah. Right, where are we? So with the trend for secondhand and vintage that we were talking about, have you seen a noticeable change in your business because of that?
It's hard to know, because it's hard to know exactly who you're selling to. I know there are certain things I sell more of because they are currently on trend. I suppose that's going to happen. But what I find the fun bit is trying to stay a little bit ahead of the trend, because if it's all out there, it's kind of almost going to have had its moment and be going. So you've kind of got to catch it on as the wave goes up. So I don't know if it's changed. It probably does change what I pick up, because I'll pick up something that I sold before reasonably recently. But yeah, I don't know really. It's not that exact a science, to be honest, for me.
No.
Yeah, I still feel like with clothing, I'm still playing at being a clothing reseller or redistributor or what did we come up with? Re-commercing. I'm kind of playing at it because that's not really, I don't see myself as a clothing seller, although I do sell clothes, and I do sell some nice clothes. It's still new to me. So I'm still finding my way. So I can't say whether I'm influencing anybody with what I'm buying and selling clothing wise.
But we're not really just talking about clothing. So with bric-a-brac and household things and jewelry, are you noticing any changes, in how you run how you run your business, or what you would sell now?
Well, like I say, I've just started selling clothing, which I would at one point never even considered.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big change for me, is actually looking through clothing and buying clothing to resell, not just buying it for myself.
Yeah.
Other items I sell, not really seeing much of a difference. I mean, I tend to buy and sell the same sort of things, really. It's again, it depends what's on trend, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's
exactly
the flavour of the moment.
And at the moment, it's very much mid-century, isn't it?
Yeah.
For which I'm grateful, because I've always loved it and I've always picked it up, but now finally it's starting to sell. So yes.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that's really sought after now, I've walked past and wouldn't look twice at to buy to resell in the past. And now I'm kicking myself. I wish I'd have brought all them West German vases when they were going for £5 each.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it just breaks your heart when you think how much got chucked out.
Yeah.
Have you noticed anything different? Any changes in your business, Corinne?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because eBay just messing around with so much stuff that, you know, my sales are up on last year, but I don't know if that's because I've learnt more and I'm selling better stuff, or whether it's because, you know, people are buying more secondhand. I don't know, really. It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's it is a difficult one to tell. Okay. Okay, right. Here's one. I love the idea of what we do for a living, keeping things out of landfill, keeping things in circulation. What are your favourite things about reselling, Corinne?
I did write something down, actually. Right, my first favourite thing about reselling is shopping, because I've always loved shopping and I still love going out and looking for stuff. So that's my main thing. And the second one is the nice messages I get from people when I help them, or if they're really happy with something. So my customer service, or if they're really happy with something they've bought, I really like the nice messages I get. I sold someone a bag for their wedding last week, like a beaded, a white beaded bag, like a cut bag for their wedding, and she said it was in a few days' time, so I sent her it first class for free, just so that she'd have it in time. And you know, she was really, really happy about that. So I'm glad that I'm, you know, gave her a nice experience.
Yeah, it is lovely when you get that good feedback, isn't it? And you just feel like it's all worthwhile. Yeah. Oh, you want a timer, Kelly?
I say I had to put 50p in the meter. Times are hard. I've had to close the curtain because it's that bright, the sun, and put the lights on, but that one's on a timer and it went off.
Oh.
I thought the bulb would
I thought maybe it was one of those that comes on with movement, you know. I thought you were going to get up and wave your hands around. My sister-in-law has one of those in her toilet, and it doesn't ever seem to last long. So you can be sitting there, and then all of a sudden it just pitch black. you have to kind of sit on the toilet and wave your arms about.
Oh, great fun.
Okay, Kelly, what are your favourite things about reselling?
I like, a bit like Treasure Pirate, Heather always says, it's just hunting for stuff and finding something that's a bit special that somebody has just disregarded and thinks it's rubbish. They're selling it for 50p or £1, or long forgotten treasured items I like looking for. At one time, somebody would have absolutely adored them, and then they've gone down through the family and they've lost the value and sentiment, and they just end up on the car boot, and then I come along, oh, thank you very much. I love that for 50p. Yeah, I like that. The rest of it, I don't really care for. eBay and selling and all that thing. Just like the buying.
Yeah, the buying and the end product, you know, the end thing where you get it to the person, but all the bit in between is just a pain in the bum.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The hunt is the thing. That's the payoff. That's the rush. That's the fun bit.
Yeah.
And like you say, finding something that someone's just completely not valuing at all, and reuniting it with someone else who's going to love it. I'm just sort of the bit in the middle, really. But for me, it, like Kelly said, it's the hunt. It is the thrill of the hunt, and finding that one thing that, I mean, we all like our big sales, don't we? Where you find something that's just amazing, although they're very rare. It's the possibility that you just might do it again. It's a bit of an addiction, I think. I mean, I'm definitely addicted to it. Still love it even after, I think it's been about 5 years now. Still loving it. And you refine your eye. You get to know what to look for a little better. and you get less swayed by things that maybe you think, yeah, it looks nice, but unfortunately it has no value. But yeah, I think it's a learnt skill as well. You kind of think, oh, you always feel you're progressing somehow. You're not going backwards. Any experience, however horrific they can be, is a good thing. So you are learning all the time, which is, for me, is just lovely.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking, there's always a little bit of a disappointment when you pick up something that you really love and you think, oh, someone's going to really want that. And then you look it up on eBay and you realise, yeah, that was a bit of a fail. Nobody's really wanting that.
At the moment, they might well do in a year's time.
Yes, there is
that has happened.
There is that.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not quite come into the trend place just yet. And I have had things where I've had them for a while, and then all of a sudden, it's suddenly got a bit more fashionable. So, yeah.
So what would you do? Would you list it and then just wait and keep the price on? Or would you hang on to it and then list it when you think, oh, actually, somebody might want this now?
Depends what it is, I think. If it's something big, I probably want it gone because there's a space issue. You know, I've got things like my, big jumpers and cashmere jumpers now. Really, probably from the next couple of weeks in, no one's going to be buying big jumpers anymore. So they're going to stay probably listed, because come September, which is only 6 months away, they'll be selling again for the winter. They're not going to, that trend is not going to go out of fashion. People are always going to want jumpers. So I don't worry too much about that. Stuff can sit, if it's good quality stuff and it should get near its price, then I don't mind if it sits for a bit.
Yeah. Well, I sold a couple of really warm coats only a couple of weeks ago. And you kind of imagine after Christmas, most people won't want to buy coats, but they do.
Yeah, I sold that ski jacket last week.
Yeah.
I think once the real cold's over, then maybe they'll stop. But I'm also selling swimming costumes and summer stuff, so anything sells anytime, I think, pretty much.
Yeah. There's discussion in the chat about putting money in things, and Chris B says, do you remember putting money in the TV, Mandy? I don't think we ever had to do that with our TV, but yeah.
I used to rent my first TV I had when I first moved out of home. I used to rent it weekly. I rented my TV, which is just ridiculous now how cheap they are. But then, they were so expensive. That was the only way I could have a decent TV.
We were telling Nick's younger sister about that at the weekend, actually. She just couldn't believe it. We were saying, people used to rent TVs. My family did. I remember going down to the rental shop with my great granddad so he could pay for his monthly, subscription for his TV.
Was it Radio Rentals?
Yeah.
You used to get all your electricals from.
Yeah. I used to rent a TV for when I was in my 20s for a while, just because it's a bit like phones and things. You've been on contract, you can always upgrade it when the next one comes along. That was the thinking. But yeah, nowadays, no one would ever do that.
Here's another positive story from Sweat Mopper. I sent a load of sci-fi mugs to Italy and they were so appreciative for the items, service, dispatch, quality of packaging, repeat customer. Yeah. That's what's satisfying about what we do. What else are people saying?
How do you feel? I think Karen mentioned this. How do you feel about recycling packaging?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I do.
As you know. I remember when Nick first started talking about the fact that he gets boxes, like crisp packet boxes and all that kind of stuff. Got quite a big backlash from people saying, oh, no, that's really wrong. You shouldn't send out things looking like that. It's not very professional. And now, of course, it's quite a trendy thing to do is to reuse packaging. But yeah, we do that. And also,
expensive, isn't it? New packaging, new boxes.
Yeah. And let's just give Josh a plug because he sells those sugarcane, call them poly bags. Yeah, well, the white ones, the sugarcane ones.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm still on my supply from eBay on those, but I do use his inner bags because that's how I store my stuff up at the garage. Keeps it all dry. And so I feel a bit better about that, because if you don't package something like clothes properly, they can get wet, or things happen, and then you have very unhappy customers. But I certainly recycle boxes. The cat food boxes, the Whiskers boxes that we get, are very sturdy and very useful. But I will then put them in the bag so they look like eBay, not not just anything.
I've got a dog food box there. I mean, my Monty's dog food comes. I mean, it's in a sealed bag. I don't know why, but they put it in a cardboard box as well when I get it every month. So I always reuse those boxes because they're really good boxes. Nothing wrong with them, and they've not touched dog food because that's in a different bag inside. So
yeah, I use old newspapers too.
Have any of you ever had any customers complain about you using recycled packaging?
No.
Never. But yeah, Heather, going back to what you were saying about using something like inner packaging, I do that as well, and get them from Josh, the ones that are recyclable. But yeah, you're completely right. I mean, I tried using other things like paper or tissue paper, but when you've got them wrapped like that, it keeps them watertight, it keeps them away from moths.
Oh yes. So, not our friend. Not in Kashmir land, they're bloody not.
And yeah, it would be really great to get compostable clear bags. That would be fab. But at the moment, recyclable is the way to go.
It's the best we can get at the moment, and there is a cost implication because of the amount of stuff that we all send out. That it really can add up if you're not careful.
The only problem I have with recycled boxes is I've got a mountain down the shed. They don't store very well, do they? Don't come all tidy, folded. Nick's doesn't look too bad. He's got his under his desk, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I've got a mountain in the corner of the shed and have to hunt through them all to find one.
Find the right size, and how it's never there. The right size. I get a lot of bubble wrap and stuff off. I try not to buy that sort of thing for new, but I have got some friends who live locally who seem to be always buying things that comes in bubble wrap, and those lovely airbags. I've literally got a sort of a big thing full of those squishy airbags because they also keep your weight down as well when you're posting things and you don't want to go over the weight. So I will reuse anything like that because that's plastic. I've got to at least reuse it so it's not going in the rubbish.
Well, at the back of mine, we've got communal recycling bins, but I recycle so much that I ended up paying for my own one because I was filling them basically mostly myself. So they're always getting overfilled. So I paid extra for us to get our own recycling one. And it just went the other day and it was full to the brim after 2 weeks. So I'm really conscious about recycling stuff. And I often go through the communal one, the paper one, and get brand new shoe boxes and stuff out of there that people have chucked out for me to use for my reselling. So I went there the other day and got a brand new, someone had just bought a new pair of Vans and just chucked the box in the recycling, which I would never do that. If I had a new pair of shoes, I always keep the box. So maybe that's just me.
Oh, well, it's
Crispy says it keeps your costs down as well, which is a very good point. Yes, it does. So not just saving the planet, but saving your pocket as well.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I do use the eBay bags and some of the eBay boxes because they are, as you say, they take a lot less space. But it's because we get a voucher, so I kind of think, well, I might as well use that. And not everything fits. If you've got to make a Franken box, you need a flipping great thing. That's fine. But yeah, that's really why a lot of my stuff goes in eBay bags and things, simply because it's cost effective. I buy them from, I'm basically paying next to nothing for them, and there's nothing else that can compete with that. So yeah, we still buy a fair amount of that. Well, we use up our eBay packaging voucher, but I think Nick mostly uses it for like bubble mailers for media and that kind of thing. So I'm now trying just to buy, well, I haven't used them up yet because I did buy, I won some from auction, didn't I, at the meetup? So I've still got a big wodge of poly mailers to use, but I will be buying more from Josh and trying to use them for clothing. So yeah, well, we do what we can, don't we?
Yeah.
So, has anyone else got anything to add about reselling, sustainability, or I don't know?
I think what a lot of people are funny about is food and using food past its best before and things like that. I mean, that just didn't happen in my house because my dad, being a chef, he just used to use everything and freeze a lot of stuff. And I still do that now. I have very little food waste. But I know a lot of people see a date on something, just chuck it in the bin. They don't even look to see if there's anything wrong with it. So that's something that I think a lot of the country need to learn about is.
I think it needs to change. Yeah, I agree. I will make a meal out of things that are there because I think, oh, that needs using up, I'll use it. And like I say, dates are a little bit arbitrary, and I think you have to use a lot of common sense and that. But I can't bear throwing. If something there was a forgotten courgette at the back of the veg drawer, and I was very upset because I hate wasting food. But it had gone. It had shuffled off this mortal coil. It was well and truly past its best.
Liquidizing.
I hate that, so that had to go into the composting bin because at least it's gonna. But the fact that I've forgotten to use it was just annoying to me because I don't. It's a waste of money and not good for the planet. So.
I know we've had an issue with lettuce recently because Riverford always put a lettuce in, and in this weather I find it really difficult to use lettuce. Because, we try and put it in sandwiches.
Have you tried making lettuce soup?
It always goes a bit weak and yucky, and I don't know.
I've never tried it myself.
It's stews, but it just always goes a bit mushy.
Yeah.
I think I fried some lettuce once, and that worked out all right.
Oh.
It becomes a very different thing, but it's okay. I think you can. But yeah, I mean, like you say, if they're going to keep giving you, and it's not really lettuce weather.
Well, I'm on a mission this time to definitely try and use it in what I can. But
I think you can either braise it or fry it. I'm sure if you look online, there'll be somebody doing something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got carrots and onions in the fridge that have been there probably a good 3 weeks maybe, because again with Riverford you get just a ton of carrots every single time and onions, and I can't use that amount.
The carrot soup is a glorious thing.
I paused my delivery so that I was just trying to use carrots and onions.
The onions never really go off, and they don't really need to be in a fridge either, taking up space.
Well, no, that is true.
Cool and dry. It's like potatoes; they can, but onions generally can keep for a very long time. If they're stored properly and don't go damp, that's the main thing with an onion.
I was remembering my granddad used to grow onions, and he used to get me Nana's tights in his shed, and there was hanging.
Why was he wearing them?
Why should I wearing them? No. And he's had loads of them hanging, like decorations in his shed, lasting him all winter.
It's because they keep dry but aired. That's the thing. They're not rotting. I just love that idea of your poor grandmother going, "Where's my bloody tights, man?"
I love that. Yeah. There's a bit of a conversation about who likes onions and who doesn't. He says onions are the foods of God, Andrew. No, food of gods, Andrew.
Onions are in most recipes, sadly. So you've probably ate a lot of onions, Andrew, and you just didn't realise it.
Yeah, they're good for staving off colds, and they have natural antiseptic properties.
Yeah, Barry don't like garlic, but he's been eating it for the last 18, 19 years without knowing it.
Exactly. I put them in
every day because I love garlic.
Poor man.
Yeah, I literally put onions in everything.
Oh, I like that. Onions are the food of Satan.
Oh.
Really? Interesting.
Well, again, that's another thing that we've lost is how we look at food. Like I say, you used to do the smell test to smell if something was good or not go by the dates, and
I still do,
and storage and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do smell and taste test.
Yeah,
exactly. I have to persuade my husband not to go around just chucking things out because he's a bit like that. He'll look at dates on things. I'll be all right. We'll have it tomorrow.
Yeah, just cut the mold off, and the rest of it's fine.
Yeah.
My mum used to do that with the cheese. Just cut the mold off. Cut the mold a bit off. It's all right.
I've done that with bread before. If it's the only bit of bread that's left and there's a bit of mold on the edge, you just chuck it off. Stick it in the
Penicillin is
toaster.
good for you.
Fine. Yeah. Okay, we're coming up on the hour, so yeah, unless anyone's got anything else to say, then we'll wrap it up.
I think we'll leave it at that. Mouldy cheese and bread.
and onions in recipes in the chat there. Many ways with an onion.
The ultimate sustainability. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us today and getting involved in the chat. It's been really good. And thank you, ladies, for joining me as well.
Welcome.
And see you all again soon. Bye.
Bye.